Welcome back to Lantern Insights, and boy, do we have a spicy one today. We are playing some Azorius Lantern, a very original idea, originally coming from Zargus, who kind of based it off of an aspiring Spike prison list that he had a couple weeks ago, kind of incorporating the Lantern control aspects into that, and he's been playing a lot with it. Been really liking it, and so I saw it. I was like, oh, I have to try this out. This is just such a cool list. I've made a few changes that I'll talk about. I'll link his list too, so you can go check that out as well. But really, what we're playing here is just very different from traditional Lantern. You know, normally you have no creatures. You're trying to blank all of their creature removal. This list has almost 20 creatures. Just very different from normal Lantern. We're going to be running it through a full league today, seeing how it can do. Just talk through it briefly at the start here. We have 2 copies of Ensnaring Bridge. This may seem a bit low, but I've actually found in testing that 2 is usually enough. Generally, for the most part, I'm able to find Ensnaring Bridge pretty consistently. I'll talk through some of the ways that we're able to dig very easily, but it is you can usually find it pretty quickly. Of course, we have some of the normal Lantern pieces. We got our baubles, shredders. If you're not familiar with Lantern, the kind of key engine of the deck is the card Lantern of Insight with Codex Shredder. So Lantern of Insight says that both players play with the top card of their library revealed, and then Codex Shredder says tap to target player mills a card. So you're essentially using that to basically lock your opponents out of drawing anything relevant, basically for the rest of the game. Of course, you have Ensnaring Bridge to prevent creatures from attacking you, and generally in Lantern, you know, you can kind of let them draw like any hand disruption, removal spells for creatures, any creatures you can let them draw as they're shut down by Bridge. In this list, you know, we still have the Bridge plan. However, you do have to worry a bit more about removal, which is you know, which can come up, but generally, like, we're okay having our creatures removed. That's kind of the core Lantern package. We have 2 copies of Pithing Needle Main. The original list just had 1, added in a second one. I just think you need 2 in the main. There are a lot of games, a lot of matchups that have 2 kind of main targets to needle, and if you waste 1 too early, or you know, something like Yawgmoth where you have to needle Yawg and Grist in the same game, just only having 1 was a bit slow there. Yeah, you have a Welding Jar main, and then basically beyond this, you have some Spell Skites for protection, which have always been pretty playable in Lantern. It's kind of the one creature that has somewhat consistently made it into main decks. I'm not playing it a ton main deck now, but this list plays it, obviously. And then, of course, you have Underworld's Cookbook for burn aggressive decks, playing a very standard, I'd say, Azorius mana base. For Lantern, we got our Sagas. One land that actually really stands out is Manamo. As you'll see, we have a lot of legendaries in the deck, and this land has actually been really good, just allowing us to use them twice in one turn. Now, getting on to the rest of the deck, you know, a couple Mox Ambers for a bit of ramp early. However, our key kind of creatures are Emery and Oswald Fiddlebender. Emery, I've probably seen in some of my earlier videos, where it allows you to replay artifacts from the graveyard. Very strong card. I think it's one of the most underplayed cards, like in the Lantern archetype, where it's very good. You know, similar to how Luris decks, when Luris was in the format, could just recycle a Mishra's Bauble every turn for an extra card. You can do the same thing with Emery. And then we have Oswald Fiddlebender, which is basically Birthing Pod for artifacts. Traditionally, it is a very strong card, one that's got talked about in Lantern, but haven't really showcased it on the channel yet, so hopefully we can do some cool things with it. You can kind of go all the way up the chain, starting from, you know, a Welding Jar or a Bauble, into a 1-drop, into Spellskite, into Ensnaring Bridge. And yeah, so those are kind of the 2 most important creatures for the deck. And then we have Agatha's Soul Cauldron, and it does seem weird seeing it in a Lantern list. However, it's quite strong, just allowing you to use kind of making every creature into an Emery or every creature into a Fiddlebender really lessens the impact of removal, where even if they take out 1 creature, while your other creatures still have all of those abilities. In terms of some other artifacts, we have the reality chip. Just another piece we can find with Fiddlebender can help us move up the chain to bridge, allowing us to look and kind of rip through our library is quite strong as a one of. And then we have Rona as another legendary. I've been very impressed with her actually. She allows you to loot through your deck pretty quickly. With all these legendaries, it's not unrealistic to kind of be looting 2 or 3 times a turn. We have Ledger Shredder, both kind of as a flying blocker, as we don't have a ton of those, and it also gets a counter on it pretty quickly. And one thing found while playing is that when you're going up against opponents' Ledger Shredders, that you're basically triggering them every turn, and so we thought, why don't we play that ourselves in this list? And additionally, it gets a counter itself, means that it's good with Soul Cauldron, as you don't have to use the counter on it, it'll just get those abilities right away. We have Skrelv, a bit of protection. It's very good with Spellskite. If you have Spellskite out, you can redirect spells to Spellskite and then protect the Spellskite with Skrelv, and the spell will fizzle. Very strong. Zabaz, you can get it off of Urza Saga. It allows you to do things like reset your own Pithing Needle. It can give your creatures flying if you put it under a Soul Cauldron. It's another card that comes with a +1/+1 counter built on it. Probably not totally necessary, but has been good. And then finally, the last card is Excavated Wall. And unless you played a lot of Strixhaven Limited, and even then, you probably haven't seen much of this card at all. Just 1 mana for a 0/4 defender. However, you can pay 1 and tap it to mill a card. So it does kind of work with our Lantern plan, where early we can fill up our own graveyard. But mainly it's just there for defense early, kind of stonewalling something like Ragavan. It can eat a Lightning Bolt. There's kind of a good early blocker that later game, we can load up with some counters from Soul Cauldron. In terms of the sideboard, that's where we have more of our removal in Prismatic Ending and Mangara. Mangara, if you just draw her, she's kind of a one-of removal spell. If you can get her under Soul Cauldron, you can kind of turn everything into a removal spell, which can be pretty strong. We have Leyline, obviously for burn, discard decks. Ashiok, anything graveyard, 4-color, kind of more control-y decks. And then have some Torpor Orb, Damping Sphere, things that we're able to find with Fiddlebender easily. Another Welding Jar, a third Pithing Needle. I think Needle's pretty important against a lot of decks, so like having a third copy. And finally, some Haywire Mites. It's very good with Emery, and you can put it under Cauldron, although that is going to sacrifice a lot of your board. Anyway, this is the list, quite a wild one. But I will see you in round 1 of the league. All right, welcome to game 1, starting on the draw. As I was going over the deck, we'll keep this hand, very nice. Up against Kahira, likely some sort of control deck or elementals. Soul Cauldron should be pretty good if it's control. Could be like a lot of decks it could be here. We're just gonna run out a Shredder. One thing I didn't talk too much about in the intro is the lack of discard. It does hurt a bit. Obviously, like you never really know what's in your opponent's hands. You're always kind of a bit behind in that way, especially compared to like the black versions. So you don't have a ton of interaction kind of for your opponent in your first game. However, I think definitely game 1, I would say it's easier to overcome that than game 2, where game 2 you can sometimes get in a bit of trouble. Here I think we're just going to play Wall plus Zabaz. We don't want to lose this Glimmer Void. Next turn we can either go Soul Cauldron plus something. Gonna reprieve an Excavated Wall. Alright. Let's try Zabaz. Yeah, so I think just because it's likely that they have removal, I don't want to kind of risk losing a land by tapping out for Rona, even though they would probably use the removal on Rona. I could see them going after the Codex Shredder. Here they do have full domain. However, they revealed Kikira as their companion, which does mean that likely Teferi here. Ren and 6 also less problematic than Teferi for sure, but likely some sort of 4-color Omnath pile. And they had a removal spell for both of them, which is obviously a bit unfortunate as we are going to lose our Glimmer Void here. Yeah, here I think we will run out the Rona, as we definitely want to be able to loot next turn if we are able to. I think a matchup like this, it is going to be one where we feel the lack of discard a bit, as if they play Omnath, we don't really have any answer main deck to it. We do have some good sideboard cards, specifically Ashiok in this matchup should be pretty powerful. They're likely on some combination of Solitudes. It's probably their interaction. They do have the Teferi. Bounce our Rona. It'll definitely depend what we draw here, but I think we're pretty far behind in this one. Again, we're just gonna run out Rona plus the wall here. I think we will try to go for Cauldron plus Shredder next turn. We may have to Cauldron and then swing at Teferi, as I would like to get that off the battlefield if we're able to. However, we are, yeah, like I said, when they have the Omnath here, I think we're pretty behind. I don't think there's no real version of Lantern that's good into this deck. 4-color is one of our hardest matchups, but I wouldn't say this deck would particularly be better than any other matchup. So they do exile our Rona. It's kind of unfortunate with Soul Cauldron. And this Ren ultimating would be pretty bad for us. They'd just be able to recycle prismatic endings every turn. I'm gonna run out a Shredder and Soul Cauldron. Maybe we should have played Bridge here. I think this is a pretty decent amount of pressure. But with two bridges, we are, and this Excavated Wall can block the Omnath if we put a counter on it. However, with 2 bridges, it is good against Teferi, as Teferi bouncing bridge is one of the things we have to worry about. Mill ourselves, and then exile as a Boz. Here we just want the counter so that we can block the Omnath. Zabaz, its abilities aren't super relevant when they're under Soul Cauldron, so it's not too big a deal that we don't have access to that. And they're going to besiege you in Excavated Wall. I would rather them use it on that than Ensnaring Ridge, as we do only have 2 in the deck. But it's going to be very hard to. Oh yeah, we're dead. Yeah, I'm going to concede to the Ren and 6 Beseiju loop, as that, I mean, they're just going to start blowing up Shredder, like anything we play, we're done here. Very, very tough one. And this is, I guess, what we talked about, one of the weaknesses of this build, just not having access to hand disruption. We are going to bring in Ashiok, very strong against them. We're going to bring in the extra needle, both Haywire Mites. In terms of trimming, we're going to trim 1 welding jar. I don't think, like a lot of their prismatic ending, Leyland Binding is all exile based removal. Underworld's Cookbook we can trim. We're not really too concerned about them, being super aggressive. Other cuts, they do have things like Omnath, Solitude. Although they're playing Kahira, so they may have Foundation Breaker in the sideboard, which could be a reason to leave Welding Jar in. I think I'm going to take Zabaz out. I don't think it does a ton in this matchup. Reality Chip can be pretty good if it's a good late game card. Probably trim some Mox Ambers. I don't think... there is one combo with Mox Amber where if you have Rona on the battlefield and an Emery underneath an Agatha Soul Cauldron, so that Rona has Emery's ability, you can get infinite mana by getting a Mox Amber from the graveyard, untapping Rona, tapping her to play another Mox Amber from the graveyard, but floating mana in between there, and then sacrificing the second copy. So you are able to get infinite mana. Not going to come up super commonly, and not really what the deck is built around either. So, but something to know. It could come up. I think we're going to submit like that. Ashiok is pretty strong against them. Hopefully we can... But like if we land turn 3 Ashiok, we're in pretty good shape. Just with how many fetch lands they play. This will keep, just with the double shredder and the bubble, likely be able to filter our draws a bit. Fiddlebender can help us find missing lock pieces, and can try to go from there. Use shredder plus bobble to hopefully find our second land. And then here, kind of what creature will play out first will kind of depend on what we draw. If we don't find, like if we only, not totally sure yet what we're gonna play, but one of our two drops. Saga is basically our best land here, and actually means we might go Shredder plus Wall on our turn, as that'll make bigger construct tokens, which are very useful in a matchup like this. That's our third land. One thing with Codex Shredder, I think another reason even more so to run it out before Lantern is the presence of Surveil lands, where essentially with Codex Shredder you can basically negate all benefit from the Surveil land, where if they leave it on top, you're like, it still can remove bad cards for them, but here for example, like the Surveil land, it can remove a bad card, but they put it on top, so we're just gonna mill it, see what they left on top. It was another land. They may have done that strategically, they may be in need of another land. I don't know exactly at this point. Run out of basic planes. Chalice X equals 1 is generally pretty good against us. In this hand here specifically, like with Saga, as well as, okay, here we're probably just going to make double constructs. We're going to play Glimmer Void here and then aim to make 4 constructs out of these 2 Saga tokens, and then get cards like Rona and Fiddlebender down afterwards. Although Teferi here is Cryptic Coat. Not the end of the world. Obviously it's strong, but I think it can hit us for 3 a turn, but we're making much bigger creatures than 3/3s, so, or 3/2s, so not really the end of the world for us. And we'll get Lantern here with Saga. Oh, and we have a bridge too. So now it's going to kind of come down to what they have in hand, where we don't have any way of removing their things in hand. So it's kind of about making sure that we have kind of enough redundant pieces. We're able to recur things well, so that we, I mean, obviously we're going to mill a Prismatic Ending. Let's take a peek here. Teferi is pretty good against constructs, just as their tokens, so they just cease to exist when he bounces them. Solitude, I think forcing them to evoke Solitude here is something that we're going to let them have. Obviously they have things like Engineered Explosives, which are a lot worse for us than just a Solitude would be. And they do have to evoke it or jump with a cloak or have some other answer. If they have another Teferi in hand, obviously that's pretty good. Okay, Prismatic Ending. I'm alright trading like something like a Prismatic Ending for a Construct. I think we're definitely ahead in that exchange as, right, so they just spent Prismatic Ending and 2 Solitudes in order to answer our land that also tutored for the Lantern. So they've essentially spent 3 cards to answer half of one of our cards, and that's part of why Urza Saga is so good. But they do have a lot of cards that we care about, obviously. Emery on top is very nice. I like her in this situation. Counterspell. This may be a bait counter Emery into Counterspell and then drop a Fiddlebender. Could we drop a Fiddlebender, use that as bait for Emery, but I'll let them have the Counterspell here. I'd rather them have a Counterspell than one of their Planeswalkers, as with these sagas. Alright, they're gonna reveal hand. No, they don't reveal hand. So they had a Teferi cloaked under the Cryptic Coat. I wasn't sure why it got revealed, but there, the Saga tokens getting under Chalice. Oh yeah, we also have Haywire Might that we can grab off Saga as an answer to Chalice. Based on what we saw that game, I mean, like that was Urza Saga that won us that game. Just trading. Yeah, they spent 3 cards, 3 like premium. Well, Prismatic Ending was a premium removal spell. The other 2, probably not. I think we're just gonna run it back. Try to do the same thing, just on the draw. And yeah, like we just kind of rolled them that game. This hand is very interesting. I don't think in this matchup it actually does quite enough. I think this hand is a lot better. I'll dump the Spire of Industry. They mulligan 2 there. I think the previous hand, yes. So like if we, obviously we play Fiddlebender on 2. They probably have an answer to it, and then we play Fiddlebender on 3 again. I don't think we're super, like we're not really ahead in that exchange in any meaningful way. Obviously we'd like a Saga in this hand, but you can't always have the best card in your deck. That's for sure. I wonder if they get a Surveil land again. We do have the Codex Shredder untapped, so it's probably better for them to get a Trio, and they seem to agree. Now, this does allow us to use the Bauble plus Shredder to kind of filter our own draws a bit. Oh, they got Surveil lands of all colors, so definitely a slower. Oh, and they're binning a Counterspell. It could mean they're looking for lands. Or it could mean they just have Saga. Yes, absolutely, we will take a Saga. And so we're going to play Rona here. Just kind of maximizing efficiency. It'll also allow us to loot away other copies of Rona. And she's pretty good if we can get her going. Like definitely with so many legendaries in the deck, it's like I talked about in the deck tech, very easy to kind of draw a couple extra cards a turn with her. Well, if we are staring down at Teferi here, that would be great. Yeah, so Teferi on the play would be one argument for running out Pithing Needle, as however he is forced to bounce Rona, as otherwise we would swing and kill Teferi. But Teferi bouncing Saga there would also be pretty good. Yeah, here I think we forsake the constructs and we're going to try to get a lockdown. Do have Rona. We have this needle for Teferi, another needle for Beseiju, or the One Ring. I think if he slams the ring here, we double needle and are alright with that. Yep, you can cast your sorceries. Flash speed, prismatic ending is pretty good. He has another Safari. If this one bounces Saga, obviously that would also be fairly bad, although he's going to bounce Rona again. Chalice on top. Oh, he needed the land on the plains. Here we have access to 4 mana. I think we make a construct, needle. We're going to draw the Glimmer Void. Mill. I do want to know kind of what he's drawing. So we're going to make a construct here because he has pending on top. We're going to get a Codex Shredder for that pending. And then see what's underneath. Bobble on top. It's not great. I think we just needle the ring and hope that we can swing down to Fairy. Especially if they give protection to themselves, we can still swing at Teferi. So I think we're okay with that. The one ring has been, although they have used 2 Teferis, they did leave 1 white up, which could either mean they have Leyline Binding or that was just the land they were forced to draw. And Cursed Totem, obviously a sideboard card that some Lantern lists play. Omnath. Well, he's gonna have Cursed Totem. It does not stop Codex Shredder, but this is more. I don't think it was worth sacrificing Lantern there. So obviously the Cursed Totem is bad, but with 2 Codex Shredders, I would rather that be what we're trying to play around. Although if he has Solitude here, yeah, I think we just scoop there. Yeah, it's gonna take everything. We have a couple Haywire Mites, but like that's it. Yeah, he's gonna be able to ring. I mean, like we could play it out, but no way we win that game. Yeah, like obviously, in this matchup we saw Saga be pretty good. However, did see some of the weaknesses of this list where that lack of discard did kind of punish us, especially in that 3rd game. Having no. Obviously, we do we have an answer for. We have an answer for the enchantment temporary lockdown, but we kind of have to get it out in advance, and yeah. Anyway, I'll be back once game 2 loads. All right, round 2 on the play. Yes, we'd like to go first. We got turn 2 Emery if we want. Spellskite also on turn 2. Bridge, Saga. Overall, I think a pretty fine hand here, and I really wish there was some way where you could see your opponent's reaction when you played Excavated Wall on turn 1. As I'm going to be honest, when I first saw the list, was fairly skeptical of this card. You're going to fetch now, okay. But having played with it, definitely feeling a lot better about it. Oh, this could be Murktide, Living End. Lots of decks here. I'm gonna run out Spellskite. If it's Living End, running out Emery next turn is pretty good. Just being able to fill the graveyard a bit. Looks like Living End. Yeah, definitely Living End here. We'll be able to use the wall, use Emery, hopefully load up our graveyard a bit before they are able to cascade. And then not too much we have to worry about if we're able to get this bridge down. We're not going to be making a token here. We're going to play Emery, just for the mill here mainly. Mill a Skrelv, which I guess is nothing. And here I'm going to needle Otawara. It's easier with Welding Jar to kind of deal with Boseiju and all our recursion. Easier to deal with Boseiju than it is for us to deal with Otawara, and so that's the reason for that call here. And I am going to be trying to use Excavated Wall to mill ourselves. And they have a Grief, which is obviously pretty good, taking Ensnaring Bridge here. However, if they do just Cascade, we're not outright dead. Sort of like something like Rona would be pretty good in order to get an Emery in the graveyard. Okay. Yep, so this is pretty good here. Maybe we should have just jammed to the bridge when we had the chance. 3, 6, 12, 15, 17. We do get to make a construct, so we're not outright dead, but we are definitely close. And we don't really have... Our graveyard hate, admittedly, is not amazing. I think I get a wall just for its ability to block something like Architects of Will. And so here we're likely going to try to block these Street Wraith and Architects, or double block Grief. We have a few blocking options that we can do. We'll see what they pump with Oliphant. Obviously the trample is pretty big here. It is going to be able to push a pretty good amount of damage. Skrelv gives Hexproof, not protection, and unblockable, which does mean we can't just block here. I think I'm actually going to trade with the Oliphant. The wall can block either Architects or Street Wraith without, like when they don't have the pump, and so I think taking them off Oliphant is pretty worth it here. If we forgot a mill there. We'll play a Bauble, then on their turn look to use it on ourselves. Yeah, so here they can swing for 6 a turn, is what they'll get in for. 9 a turn. Alright, well, we know what we need to find, but we do only have 1 left in the deck. Although if we draw land plus Agatha's Soul Cauldron, we would get there. So if I see Soul Cauldron on top, I will just draw it and hope to find a land on the second draw. As we can play land, Soul Cauldron, Cauldron Emery onto Skrelv or the wall, and then get back bridge. Cookbook is not going to do it. That is not it. So let's see what our draws here are. Not well. Double lands is not going to win us that game. Well, for sideboarding, we got Ashiok. It is pretty light on Graveyard Hate. Maybe should go up a bit with the uptick in Living End. We want Torpor Orbs for Foundation Breaker specifically. Welding Jar, 2 needles should be good. Cookbook, actually, because we have so many creatures, is not terrible because it does allow us an easy way of getting some of those into the graveyard. Skrelv, I don't think is super useful in this matchup. Zabalas is fine. Reality Chip, probably not relevant. Rona is good for looting. Shredder, also good for looting. Mox Amber, probably not. I don't think it's about speed. Probably only need 1 welding jar. I don't have kind of hard set in stone sideboard plans for this list yet. Obviously still learning a lot of the lines with it. Maybe we can maybe Zabaz. We can trim. Then just go up to 61 and call it at that. Torpor Orb does stop more than just Foundation Breaker. However, Foundation Breaker is kind of the main card that makes it problematic. Yes, we would like to play first. And no, we would not like to keep this hand, despite it having a lot of good cards. This hand is much better. We're going to keep and bottom the Soul Cauldron and look to just play a very traditional Lantern game using Saga to get Lantern. We probably could have just played this Saga out there. However, we do kind of have to hit our 3rd land, and so playing Saga on 2 does make that a bit easier. As if you miss a land for 1 turn, you're still okay, whereas if you play Saga on 1 and then you miss a land, you're in a lot of trouble. Another Ensnaring Bridge. I think we can mill. We do need another land. We do have things like Emery to get it back if they have a force, which is probably reasonable for them to have. Fortunately, no turn 2 play here, drawing a few too many lands. I'll probably get a Surveil Land Island cycle here. Right, that makes sense. They're living in. They want to cycle. And we will be milling ourselves here with. Actually, if they hit Urza Saga here, that's pretty bad for us. Especially because they will, be able to get it back. So like when they cascade here, they will be able to hit a Foundation Breaker, meaning that they can kind of, they can cycle Living End, like cascade into Living End, and then eventually, maybe we shouldn't have played Saga. Hoped that they blew up Leyline. And we haven't seen a single creature this game, which is not a very good recipe for success. They're gonna. Yeah, so maybe we should have played that Seachrome Coast there. See that being pretty correct. Although they do have a slower clock. So we will get to bridge. Yeah, we hit nothing in our graveyard. A lot of lands. Well, few too many lands here. We hit 1, 2 sagas, 3, 4, 5, 6 lands. Not ideal. We do kind of have to worry about force now. The hedge maze. Wow, those been a curator. Alright, you got it. Hit us for 9. And then we have, I don't know, burst up maybe. Needle, think it just makes sense to slam the bridge here. You could spend a turn like using Pithing Needle, but I don't think that's the optimal line. There we did. So, well, all of our deck building decisions have run into exactly the worst matchups for us. The no disruption runs into the control deck, and then the no graveyard hate runs into the graveyard deck. So a lovely start. But if you're a fan of the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that like button for, the more likes we get, the more likely it is that we win the third round. That's how it works. I don't make the rules. Leave a comment if you have thoughts on this list, or if you have other lists that you want me to try out, as I love trying new lists in Lantern. I think it's one of the best decks for kind of innovation and change, because not only are you able to like change your own deck when like new cards are printed and things, but it's constantly evolving with and to the meta. You have to be very, very in tune with that. And I read your comments, like hearing suggestions and implementing them for future videos. So I look forward to seeing what you guys think about this list. Well, back on the play is where we'd like to be. Yeah, I mean, we have a hand. I'll keep it a bit risky if they have an answer for Shredder on 1 or Wall on 1. I think we probably play the Shredder first, as things like Fatal Push don't hit it. So we likely go turn 1 Shredder, turn 2 Walls of Boss. I mean, basically every deck can answer creatures, which is the risk of running out something like Skrelv. And our opponent has appeared to instantly identify the deck we are playing, hoping they did just find a Steam Vents here, which I mean is not a surveil land, so either they're not playing them, or we'll see. Let's field until end step. Maybe this is Glimpse combo. I could see it being Glimpse. We do have a Bauble in the graveyard, which is going to be important with Emery. Saga, yes please. We would like to play another Saga. I mean, it looks like Glimpse combo from them. We're going to get a bit of information. Try to Bauble here. Halo Forger. Yes. So this is the Glimpse combo deck, I think. Where, they cast Glimpse of Tomorrow, which lets them flip through their deck, kind of revealing permanence, why they're playing something like the Garden here. They then, you hit something like Forger, you're able to exile it and do it again. I believe this is what they're on. I'm just going to run out Bridge here. They may have Force of Negation, but I'm not totally sure. If their deck is fairly lottery, where They have very explosive draws that go very well, and then they have, oh, they play Boseiju. This is good. They have very explosive draws, which do a lot, and then they have very whiffy draws, which do not do a lot. Also, they often play something like Emrakul, which Ensnaring Bridge is going to be pretty good against. Here we're just going to grab a Lantern, complete the lock, and then Leyline of Sanctity. Yeah, so this is obviously Glimpse combo. They play the Leyline to have a permanent that, and B is very good against early discard. So we're just gonna run out Sabaz. What do we have in the graveyard? Oh man, computer is lagging. So they're gonna cascade into Glimpse the Unthinkable. I don't know why they did that in response to Zabaz, but probably have their reasons. We reveal Glimpse. Yeah, so he shuffles all permanents into your library and reveal that many cards from the top of your deck. Okay, let's see what you got. I mean, it's only 4, and one of those is an Omniscience. Good stuff. I mean, obviously Omniscience is a good card. We're just going to play Emery just to fill our graveyard a bit here. See if we can't get another Codex Shredder in there. That would be a good card to get back. It doesn't look like it, but there is one on top. We're actually going to get Welding Jar here. I think the Bauble isn't super useful. We're drawing the Shredder anyway. Like we can loop Baubles for the rest of the game. I'd rather not be caught off guard by a removal spell here. And they do have this fetch land up. But importantly, their Scalding Tarn. We could have used Excavated Wall and then cast the Codex Shredder. That might have been a bit better. Although I guess we wouldn't have had the Welding Jar. No, we gotta use our Shredder here. If they want to fetch to keep it around, we can do that. Generally, with fetching and things like that, Boseiju might be their only main deck. Yep, we will mill Atraxa. One with the Multiverse. I mean, you can cast everything in your hand for free already. Like, I don't know what all. They probably have some pretty big bombs in their hand. I would be very surprised. I mean, Generous Int we don't care about. Although it does give them a food. This could be, I'm guessing, with the Halo Forger. I feel like we just let them, like if they cast the Halo Forger off the top with one with the Multiverse, then like alright. The one with the Multiverse is a bit problematic for things, anything that lets them play off the top of their library is obviously pretty good. They're going to Glimpse here, but I mean, they're shuffling away Omniscience and one with the Multiverse, so I think we're okay with that. And it does just put the permanents into play, so with something like Emrakul, they don't get the cast trigger from that, where, like we said, this Emrakul here, yes, we can't remove it in any way, but it can attack. So, and they don't get the cast trigger. Yes, they do get 2 clues here. Honestly, we care more about the 2 clues than we do about Emrakul. Like, the Emrakul is whatever. Like, I mean, obviously, if they have an answer to Bridge and then follow that up with Emrakul, then we care. But we do have a Welding Jar if it's just a destroy answer. Here, I don't actually hate at all where we are. Where we can float mana, grab another shredder. Yeah, here at this point it's just shredder time. Play shredder, shredder. Importantly, Emrakul has flying, so some board states like this where your opponent doesn't have any flying creatures, you can kind of chip in for a bit of damage. This is not one of them. I don't think they play any white lands. I don't believe they're able to hardcast a Leyline of Sanctity. Obviously, them spinning into one would not be great. So if they do Cascade here, we'll let them hit the waves, not Wave Sifter, the Glimpse of Tomorrow. And then I'm going to mill this Leyline, just lessening the number that they have in their deck. And then, yeah, you can go ahead and shuffle everything in. Importantly, they do lose their clues here, but it does count as for how many permanents they have. Shardless Agent on the board. Okay, you got yourself a lot of permanents, my friend. However, none of this directly kills us, as they have, like I talked about, it's very much a lottery deck. Oh, they have an Omniscience. However, we do know they don't really have anything that bad in hand. So we can just go ahead and mill their one with the Multiverse here. Omniscience, they already have one on the battlefield. They might as well have a second one. And they are going to use their fetch land. Of course, Calling Garden, go for it. Emrakul, we don't... Oh. We actually have an issue with Emrakul has the shuffle trigger. Well, what we're gonna do is let them draw it, hope that they cast it and don't hold it in their hand to discard, because we cannot beat a Emrakul. Game 1, at least. We can exile it with Soul Cauldron. Alright, so we are playing Academy Ruins in the deck. This is likely going to be a very long game 1. We're going to have to be a lot more conscious of our clock at this point. We have Academy Ruins. Whoa. +3, destroy target non-creature permanent. Well, Pithing Needle, hopefully. That's, we're 10. We're just gonna see here what they... Halo Forger, Leyline of Sanctity, Watery Grave. They do have an Otawara on the battlefield. Gemstone Mine can... okay, they actually have a lot of stuff that can cast the Leyline with their Omnisciences. +3, destroy target non... what's that ultimate on the Nicobolus? Does 7 damage to target player... Well, no, not Mishra's Bauble. Welding Jar. So the ultimate kind of just kills us. Nicobolus, eh? Oh, lottery. Oh yeah, they can cast that from the top. Lottery deck's gonna do lottery deck things. Yeah, I don't know how we beat Emrakul game 1. Like, we can, it's just probably much easier in paper. And you can have a shared clock. Although this deck that our opponent's playing takes forever in paper. I've played against it before in like in LGS kind of F&M things, and man, does it take a while. We're gonna bobble ourselves because they have hexproof now. We are then going to mill ourselves because we desperately need a Pithing Needle. However, we did go up to 2. Mill ourselves. Moxhammer does not do it here. Emery is good, but well, I guess Emery is one of our draws. Bridge, I don't really want. We're likely playing this Emery just to essentially draw 4. But we kind of need that pithing needle. Yep, mill 4. And no pithing needle. Well, what we can do is get back a welding jar. So we have 1 turn to find it now. And cast said welding jar. And yep, not in a great position here. Well, I can glimpse of tomorrow again. Go through everything again. Eagle Balls +3. What a planeswalker. I mean, I guess it's 7 mana. That's more or less fine. They do have an agent, which if they cast an agent, that's alright. Yeah, once again, doing that, so we're going to have to regenerate it. However, this Nicol Bolas is now in ultimate area. And we cannot really afford to sacrifice 7 permanents. Yep, I mean, go, wait, the Cascade? That feels wrong, but I mean, they go through their whole deck. They chose not to cast it? Reveal 27 cards, that's their whole deck. Do they have a way of beating in Snag Bridge? They have Beseju. Oh, we gotta look at the bottom cards. They have a Beseju left. So recur welding jar every turn and then just hide behind bridge will be our game plan. Yeah, you can play another ley line. That doesn't kill me. Yeah, we definitely have let the clock get a bit away from us here. You know, you often hear about Lantern being a challenging deck to play clockwise. Generally, I don't find it so, but we have been kind of having to leave stuff up a bit too often here. We have to mill the Academy Ruins. We have to mill Seachrome Coast. Come on. Anyway, we have 2 in the deck. Adhikar Waste doesn't do it. We have 1 shot here. There we go. Okay. Yeah, we went 40 cards deep. Now we have to concentrate on drawing lands. So we're naming Nicol Bolas Dragon God, Nicol Bolas Planeswalker. Make sure we hit the right one, and then get back a welding jar. However, here with the number of cards that we have left in our deck, we do have to get a. I don't think they have Beseju in hand. We saw it in their deck. Nope, we don't want to attack. Wow, we're down 3.5 minutes. Yeah, I mean, them playing Emrakul, we don't care about them Discarding an Emrakul we do. Okay, take an extra turn. I don't mind that. We're gonna have 6 through this one. Although if they have Besieger in hand, I get very punished. That's kind of one of the things where, you know, in a lot of cases, you can F6 through all if okay. Dismiss their revealed cards here. Dismiss. So Halo Forger lets them spin again. I mean, I don't think they have any way of like spinning into. I mean, they now have Otawara, but how many glimpses do they play? 2, I think. What would they find? They have an Otawara and Traxa. Let's start auto-yielding to some of these triggers. I'm not F6 strength. Oh, they're just sorting out their legends. Hopefully this can burn a bit more of their time than it does ours. And hopefully we can find a Torpor Orb game 2. Like, Torpor Orb shuts down a ton of these shenanigans that they're doing. Be very good. Oh, yes. They did happen to Legend Rule their Emrakul. Which sets us back quite far. Like, none of this we really care that they have in hand. I don't believe they have a Besieger in this hand right now. But I think they're taking an extra turn with Emrakul. Our issue now is going to be getting enough lands to recur Academy Ruins with always yield to Wave Sifter, always yield to Colony Garden, always yield to Generous Ent. Yeah, we're down to only 2 minutes down. I mean, definitely in trouble here. I mean, like, honestly, we're in more trouble because of the clock than because of, yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to use the Welding Jar to save our Ensnaring Bridge because they're probably gonna get Besieger. Like, we're in more trouble because of clock than because of what they are actually doing. Like, if this was paper, you know, kind of just, like we're fine. And they have no answers to bridge other than Besieger. So they chose Besieger and Nicobolas. Nicobolas we have needled, and we can Welding Jar whatever they Besieger. The unfortunate part is that they now have a Besieger in hand, so we can't F6. If they do find 2 Besiegers, we are in trouble. So we can't F6 here. However, they will use a lot of their clock here. This is going to be definitely a very long round 3. They're going to Cascade in response. Do you have anything to Cascade into? So I would love to see your whole deck. As you can see, our time is kind of laggy here. Appears as if they do not. We got 1 Besieger. Oh, they do have Glimpse. It was the bottom card. I mean, go ahead, shuffle all your permanents in. This is let's ask them. Because I don't think, like, they have to get 2 Besiegers in hand. And one of them's on the battlefield now. I do have a Glimpse. 2 are in exile. Yes. Okay, so at least they know how they win. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So with approximately 21 cards in their deck that they're shuffling in every time, they got one Boseiju in the graveyard, one on the battlefield. They are going to Boseiju this bridge. We can Welding Jar, and we can F6 here. Yes, we would, because we need lands. So we're going to grab this island, and then yeah, there's nothing else we can do. So you're just going to F6. If they find it, they find it, and if not, they don't. If you, we'll try to include maybe, I don't know. It was definitely, I mean, this is kind of just watching the lottery deck work. This is probably the biggest lottery deck in the game right now, where it's very hit or miss. Where if you hit, you do pretty well. However, in Snaring Bridge, like if we didn't have Bridge, they just like pass the turn to themselves and swing with everything, and like it's game over. It's only because of Bridge that we're even remotely in this. When they have clues, I mean, added permanents are actually better for us. We do want them. We want them to hit things like Wave Sifter. As you got another Violent Outburst. If they hit things like Wave Sifter, it adds, like, hitting Wave Sifter, hitting Generous Ent, anything like that adds tokens to the battlefield, which means it's more likely that they hit Boseiju. Because essentially what we need to happen is, I don't care, why is it taking my clock? Essentially what's going to happen is they're going to spin into Atraxa. Atraxa needs to find the Boseiju. Why is this taking so much time off my clock? Alright, we got 12 seconds back. Is Boseiju in their graveyard? Is there the whole time? Shuffles. Because it can keep shuffling with Emrakul. So they basically, okay, a Boseiju on the battlefield. I don't know if they have one or I think they have two. They got one here. They might have three. To be honest, at this point, I can't keep track. Like they have the number of Boseijus they have, and right, you got a glimpse. Oh, and they actually were smart here. So by doing it in response to these triggers, they have a smaller number of cards. So what they need to do is they have to hit. Okay, so Glimpse at least will be exiled, which is very good. This Boseiju being on the battlefield is good. If either of these two Atraxas hit a... Okay, they have Boseiju here. It didn't get shuffled in. It will get shuffled in with Emrakul. They are going to Halo Forger. Nothing. I mean, it kind of comes down to whether or not they can hit double. They have two looks at 10 cards. So if Boseiju... Oh, they also have an Otawara. That one doesn't have it. No Boseiju there. They take a Violent Outburst. You want to cast that Violent Outburst? Well, they have an Omniscience on the battlefield, so they do grab a Boseiju there. We're dead. So let's let them kill us and then see how game 2 goes. It's gonna be very 13 minutes. We did get up to a spot where we're up about 3 minutes on clock, and which could be relevant in the other games. It's kind of unfortunate that we had to dig so far for Pithing Needle. I think that definitely hurt us. You cast Nickel Bolt. I mean, just Boseiju and like go to your extra turn. You have like 3 extra turns. I do kind of laugh when people, like, there is a faster kill here, but I mean, I can't blame them for wanting to do the thing. You blow up the needle? That seems okay. Just blow up bridge. Okay, they blow up bridge with Nicol Bolas and then pass the turn to themselves and swing out. Actually, I don't really want this Emrakul trigger to go onto the stack because that's going to use a lot of my clock sacrificing stuff. So I will just concede to an Emrakul trigger. F6 through this turn. I mean, I can't blame them. They want to do the thing. Emrakul trigger goes onto the stack, and we concede. Wow, that was a long one. But we have some sideboard hate for this. Yeah, that took us forever to find Pithing Needle. We were like 40 cards deep and just got one. So we're going to take Ashiok in, quite strong against them. Torpor Orb, very good. Damping Sphere. We're going to bring in Needle, Haywire Mite, and Welding Jar. That's 7. What do we want to cut? I don't think Zabaz is useful. I don't think Cookbook was useful. I don't think Skrull matters in this matchup. I think this matchup is about Torpor Orb and Bridge and protecting Bridge. And Soul Cauldron is a good answer to Emrakul. Excavated Wall, to be honest, they don't play a lot of early creatures, so we don't really need the blocking from it. Ledger Shredder. Do we want Shredder? Could probably cut the Shredder here. And Reality Chip. I'm finding we're cutting Reality Chip a lot. It has matchups where it's useful, but I can see replacing it. Hopefully game 2 on the play, just open up a Torpor Orb in our opening hand, and although they can't always spin into an Emrakul, like it's a very lottery type deck. Yes, we'd like to play first. Oh, we got almost 4 minutes. I think we got to keep this. Hope we can use Emery Shredder to find a bridge or something, or Torpor Orb, Soul Cauldron can exile things from their graveyard. The Halo Forger, Halo Forger is the name of the card, right? They don't have a Leyline in their opening hand, which is pretty good. We are going to mill ourselves as aggressively as possible here, just with Emery. Go figure. So they lead on a garden. It's alright. Can go. There's a Saga. Emery. Do hit a Bauble, which is pretty strong with Emery. Let's see what else we can hit. Double Emery. I mean, the Bauble is the card we care about here. Turn 3, yeah, they are on 2 lands here. Saga. I guess we're gonna get Bauble back. And then I think finding Bridge here is more. Whoops, hit the wrong card. Whatever. So we're gonna cast Bauble. And we're gonna play Soul Cauldron. We actually could have had Bridge this turn. That might be a pun. Let's check what our top card is. That's what you Boseiju? Okay. Yes, I'd like to get a land. And they do it. Okay, I'll take it. Let's take a peek. Spellskite. I think we're gonna mill. Oh, I had Welding Jar. I could have regenerated it. We're just gonna do that, and Pithing Needle. Go figure. Let's see if they can do it though. They could have Violent Outburst here. Oh, we do draw Lantern. Good pickup. Another Emery. Honestly, we might get a Mox Amber here. Haywire might can hit their enchantments. Well, we could needle a couple things. I don't hate that. Grab another Boseiju. Yeah, as you can see, our time advantage is kind of evaporating here. Some combination of slow play, and they don't really have much to do anyway. Lantern. Another needle, which will let us needle everything that beats Bridge. And if they spin here, they can't force pitching Mystical Dispute. So, like, they obviously care about it. I wonder which of Nicol Bolas or Odawara did they see the needle on top? I mean, if they spin into Emrakul here, like, we're dead. They're going with 4 depends on what the top 4 cards of their library are. And you can't, like, manipulate it with Shredder or anything like that, as it's just Atraxa double Omniscience. Well then, we are probably dead. What do they hit? Atraxa, Violent Outburst, Emrakul. Yep, we're dead. GG. Yeah, we are very dead. Very rough start. Well, 0-3. Hopefully we can get the next 2 back, and hopefully they're touch shorter. All right, round 4. Looking for a bit of a quicker one, hopefully. Turn 2 Emery. Yes, Emery is like one of the defining cards of this deck, I would say, where like hands with her, I just love Emery. Like such a strong card. Where I think like technically Fiddlebender is also like very strong in this deck. Next turn we can go needle into Emery with Saga. Like Fiddlebender is very strong too. I just feel like I see Emery more. Well, I wonder what he's gonna take. I don't know if this is blue-black ring or shadow. Could be either. And so I'm very hesitant to run out a Pithing Needle when that is the case. Yeah, I think we're on the construct plan, and I guess here I can should have done this on their turn. Murktide doesn't answer it, but I think we're gonna bet on the One Ring. Where it still could be either with the ring, with Murktide. But we gotta bet something, so we're gonna go with the ring. I guess we could have named a fetch land, but I don't like doing that if there's not really much use to it. Overgrown Tomb is different. Well, One Ring was probably not the correct name. We're just gonna waste, cancel. Nope, not that. We're just gonna make constructs. Grind him out of some removal spells. We got Sultai pile of some sort. Dread Knight is a 3/2. We just take the 3 here. When it dies, they can cast their adventure side of it, which allows them to draw a card in the other half. So, yeah, we take it. Hopefully they don't have any dress downs made. They don't have access to Bolt. Let's see what they draw here. Ensnaring Bridge is pretty good, but we do want to force some cards out of their hand first. So we're going to grab a Lantern. And then we're going to play another Lantern. And seeing Counterspell is not great here, but we can probably bait it with Rona. Shredder. They don't have double blue. That is something. And we have 2 5/5s. Soon to be 2 more. 6 6s. We hit them down to 7. If this is Shadow, they have to take more damage to play. Alright, they're Fatal Pushing that. I think we're going to upkeep mill the Counterspell. As yes, they don't have double blue, but they could have a fetch land or an island in those 4. Bowmasters, fine. Drown in the Lock, not fine, but we will let the Dread Knight hit us. We're fine taking 3 for that. Here, basically we just want to run them out of resources and then drop a bridge and just go with the traditional lock. You got 3 damage here, buddy, if you swing. They didn't have double blue, which is good, I guess. We're not going to play Rona, obviously. I will get aggro with this construct, as I do want to kill something. And they could probably chump it with, like they probably flash in a Bowmasters here, or they play Mosswood Dread Knight. Yeah, so it has a plus, it has a adventure that's draw a card and lose a life. Another Bowmaster here. Alright, so 2 Bowmasters is going to be a bit harder to get through, but it's only like 2 turns of swinging with it, as our constructs are way bigger than the orcs are. And they make 3 blockers, 4 if they save it for a turn, but we can get through that no problem. With another Saga on top, actually, is very strong. What they draw there? Another Bowmasters. I think this is likely just going to be the triple. Okay, yeah, you draw a card and lose a life. You're gonna fetch. You have another Bowmasters in hand. Thoughtseize isn't great, but if they have to commit to the board, then we can commit to. They fetch Shocked. I think we're gonna go Rona and Snaring Bridge here. So we're not gonna make a construct. We can get more with this Saga. And because they have Thoughtseize on top, like I'm not opposed to just locking them here. Codex Shredder. Gonna add a Rona to the mix. And see, this might bait out either a Counterspell or a Bowmasters. I can't counter that. Alright. We're gonna get in. Attack with all. They are 7/7s. And you're gonna chump. Single chump, take. Ooh. Gonna make him take 8. He can't cast his Thoughtseize now, which is good. But we are just gonna cast Ensnaring Bridge. If he has a force for Bridge, I think we're in fine shape still. Yeah, good stuff. Beseiju on top. I mean, we gotta mill it at some point, but we will be making more constructs with Urza Saga. We got Academy Ruins. He is Death Shadow, Sultai Shadow. But I'm pretty happy with where we are. He doesn't have force in hand. Yeah, I think we're pretty happy here. Big Murktide, totally fine with that. He could have Snapcaster Mage. That would be not great. But, just going to mill you out here. The Stalker. You can have a Stalker. He's also at 2, so it's like we technically did not have to play Bridge there. But, now I like kind of care about Stalker a little more, drawing Fiddlebender, but to be honest, like nothing we really do at this stage of the game matters. Like now I think it's just about conserving clock for the next 2 games. Like yeah, you can draw the Stalker. Dread Knight, we don't really want him to have just because it's, oh well, sorcery speed card draw. We're gonna have 3 rocks. Yeah, we might let him have it. He doesn't have any way of killing it, I don't think. See, this is kind of the situation where he does have, I believe he has 1 unknown in hand here. I think we've seen 2 of them and saw that they don't matter. But here where Fiddlebender, like there's so little I care about, and we are just getting the Shredder that's on top. Codex Shredder, and then Fiddlebend, and then we're gonna pass through. We're like him drawing Shadow. I think it's pretty locked up here. We're down to only about 30 seconds down on clock. We're hopefully, if we can just play efficiently here. Preordain, like obviously we don't want him to have, but like we will mill here. We got 3. You got Shadow. He's got Shadow. What else does he have in hand? I think he has a Dread Knight. I know we milled the Dread Knight. Yeah, at this point, like to be honest, we mill him as much as possible. We got 3 rocks. We likely discard. We discard the Fiddlebender to Cookbook, and then turn the food into another Shredder. Is the line I'm going to take here. I wouldn't mind a Glimmer Void or a Spire just for some painless white mana. And pop this, go grab Codex Shredder. I mean, like, it's game over here. It's time. Like, we could do fun things like I guess we only have 2 colored mana. But after we play this Mox Amber, we can like use Manamo to untap Fiddlebender to tap it again, sacrifice 2 things. We can always sack the Saga tokens to go get 1-drops. Oh yeah, they have Bowmasters in hand. Counterspell we don't care about, but we will. Well, I think we're gonna go for the yield until end step lines. We have enough constructs that if they find an answer to it, we're still alright, and we can always Fiddlebender into a Soul Cauldron. We will have to see. What do you mean we'll have to see? I know like most of your hand. But, I mean, you could have like Odawara or something. I do only have 1 needle, so can't needle both of them. He could be playing to an Odawara. I could see that. So I might spin into a second bridge. Actually, I don't hate the idea of spinning this this needle into something. Although I do kind of just want to draw this Emery. Yeah, I want to draw Emery enough that I'm not gonna spin Fiddlebender this turn. I think Emery is just very strong here. Yield until next end step. We are kind of losing time, but hopefully we can close it out with about 15 minutes on our clock. Would kind of be my goal. If you go 10 minutes a win and 5 minutes a loss, you get there. It's kind of the math I generally use. Right, you got nothing. Well, this would be a prime example of a situation where Pyrite Spellbomb would be very strong, as you could just go get that and shoot him. He's not activating his Stalkers to kill Oswald, which could mean that he's just kind of just playing it out for clock purposes. Yep, mill 4. That is our second bridge, which does mean we can't spin it into anything. We're gonna sacrifice this. We are gonna get we're gonna replay it, naming Odawara, because I think, actually, no, let's get Soul Cauldron. And then I'm gonna exile this Emery. And then I'm going to put a counter on Odawara. Or sorry, not counter on Odawara, a needle on Odawara. Pithing Needle. And then next turn I do want to spin into a tap it, right? Pithing Needle. Odawara, Soaring City. And then let's just go with that. Likely a card he has here. He's going to crack his fetch. All well and good. And we are going to preordain upkeep. Mill that. Yep. Yield until next end step. So we're all right here. I think I'm happy with this position. I mean, we have to have it. Honestly, I probably discard the land, spin into a needle on Beseju, and then I don't know what he's talking about, but 20 cards left. There's no way he has Besiju in hand, but just to be sure. Wait. Never mind. We're gonna sacrifice the Mox Amber, not a food token, because I played the land. Needle. The other one, he could have been setting up a situation. He could have been setting up a situation where he Besagered and swung for lethal with the Murktide, or Odoarad and did that, and wasn't able to set it up in time. You can't crack his fetch lands anymore, but build until end step. Consider on top. I mean, he could have consider. I'm pretty convinced at this point he doesn't have any answers. Honestly, like Soul Cauldron, we're not using any of this anymore. We've already gone over time for this game, what we want to do. So from here, it's just kind of getting out of it with as much time as possible. But I think this is one where we can win in 2, hopefully. Don't need that third game. But it is... it's anyone's choice if you play it out, but I mean, if you're playing, obviously you think your time is somewhat important, but if I'm the opponent here, I concede. There's not really anything you can do, and but whatever. Not too. Honestly, I'm just gonna pause it, and I'll be back for sideboarding. All right, we got them down to 4 cards. Obviously, a bit slower than I would like, but get there eventually. I don't think he has any out to this. I am a bit offended that he is using. Nope, don't sacrifice my turn. He goes by Bill Dozer. Absolute affront to the name Bill. But all right, yeah, there we go. He was correct. We will have to see. What do you got? Dismembered? Congrats. Dead anyway. Dead. However, we do go in with about a 4-minute time differential, which is not great. I think this this kind of creature value pile is definitely a lot better in kind of mid-range mirrors. We want ley lines. So we're gonna bring those in, and probably has engineered explosives plus double. Yeah, the hand disruption, one thing that makes it kind of stressful not having any hand disruption is when when they're playing like that, where the thing is, like, you're letting them have creatures, so they could be holding one unknown in hand for the entire game that is like a channel land, and you just never know about it, and then they like get you with it. Or like it could be anything like that where they kind of hold it for the entire game. Cuts. I think no, welding jar. That wasn't the card I meant to grab. Take the boss can probably get cut. Honestly, I'm probably cutting Reality Chip again. I don't love it. I don't actually like Rona against the Bowmasters deck. I think she can be a bit of a liability there. Or just that extra ping can be a lot of damage. Needle, 3 needles, 1 for Odawara, Boseiju, and Engineered Explosives. Probably Engineered Explosives first, then Odawara, then Boseiju, or then Boseiju, then Odawara, kind of an either or there. Although, did we see Odawara game 1? We might not have seen one, now that I think about it. Could bring in Prismatic Endings for their early aggression, but I think that we're more suited to handle. Oh, this hand. We're on the draw. Let's try it. And we got protection in Welding Jar and Leyline. We would like a land, ideally. Let's see what we got. Preordain, not Tarot. Oh yeah, they got counter spells. Mox Amber here would be kind of epic. Mox Amber or Mishra's Bauble would be. Actually, Mox Amber wouldn't work. Well, this is a touch unfortunate here, as we really are going to need that second land, or else we are in big trouble. Maybe a too greedy of a keep here, but Shocking and Overgrown Tune. Hopefully, probably. Yep, they do. F6 here. And land. Well then. I can't drown in the locket, and I do want this Emery to resolve. I think we're starting to get to the toast stage of a match. I think I'm just going to pass through here. I don't need Shredder this turn, as Drown in the Lock I don't really want a stocked graveyard yet. Nice lands you have there, sir. Sure wish I had some of those. Maybe it was kind of greedy to keep the one land Saga hand. But yep, it was very greedy. I think we just grab a Lantern here, use it to try to filter our own draws into lands. Seachrome Coast is good. Basically have to go like land into land into land. As this Murktide is going to be coming down pretty soon. Pick your poison. Getting rid of Leyline would be kind of bad. Preordain, we're not too worried about. They don't have access to anything like Brotherhood's End. Wrong color for that, fortunately. EE on 1. We're cooked. Absolutely cooked. And I didn't use my Welding Jar because I was F6'd. I mean, we have a rebuilding plan. We go Skrelv into Emery into lands and hopefully be alright. But definitely pretty behind here. I'm not going to sack Welding Jar to protect Skrelv here. This isn't a clock consideration why I'm F6ing here. I want the Welding Jar to protect something like Ensnaring Bridge down the road. Even if I protect Skrelv, I still can't play Emery because I only have one artifact, and so I'm perfectly happy to not protect Skrelv here. They got Fire Ice. Another land is very good. We're just gonna run out the Emery. Oh, we have Stubborn Denial. Here I'm gonna feel bad for not playing the land. You got it. Bowmasters, we probably don't block. Kill the Skrelv here. This one I actually think we do use the Welding Jar for because we want to protect Emery. However, it does mean that Skrelv is tapped. Builds would be a little bit before we were getting a land. However, I don't hate the position we're in. I mean, I don't like our lands, but We shall see here. I mean, probably playing Fiddlebender next turn. Depends on if they tap out for something like Murktide, which they could here. They have, yep, so they're going to play their Murktide, exile a bunch, 7/7. I mean, that's free attack with Bowmaster. Okay, so we know they don't have Bowmasters in hand right now. Let's see what's on top of their deck. Counterspell. I don't really want them to have. They likely have Drown up here. I think I'm just going to go for the double. Oh, they have Bowmasters. Oh, I'm so dumb. Well, I'm taking a bit of extra damage here. Although if Fiddlebender sticks, which we can protect it. Yeah, and they can just shoot down the Skrulls. Did not think that one through. Yeah, you got it. Whoops. Yeah, we're gonna be tight on clock for the last game. You take 7 here. So I guess it'll depend on how well they know what Spellskite is doing. Let's see what we draw here. So we're going to get this Welding Jar back. We're going to try to bait counters along the way. Cast a Welding Jar. Cast a Spire of Industry. Cast a Codex Shredder. Cast a Spellskite. Though we probably shouldn't have cast that Codex Shredder. Okay, we can now redirect to Spellskite and then regenerate it. Let's see, they still have 40 cards in deck. If they don't have an answer for Fiddlebender, we just get a bridge off of Spellskite, as that beats the counterspell that they have in hand. But I mean, if you get these 3 creatures on the battlefield at one time, you're usually doing pretty well. A Death Shadow, we'll take that. That's not killing us, and it's just a 1/1. Let's see what we get here. Land would be pretty solid. Fiddlebend a Spellskite. Oh my goodness. I only have 2 bridges, and both of them are... One's in the graveyard, and one's in my hand. Yep. They swing with... I don't have a Zabaz in the graveyard. I have no way of stopping this. Whoopsie daisies. Oh, that's very frustrating. I have no way of stopping Murktide there. I don't have a Zabaz that I have access to. Whoops. Forgot about the Snaring Bridge in the graveyard. This is what's called peak content, people. The 120202. Well, might as well show some. In my testing before recording, I got about 15 matches in, and had a win rate in those matches, was beating things like Rhinos. Actually, it was really easy with this deck. Performed very well. Hammer Timer beating Murktide. No, I lost to Scam in testing. Beat Rhinos multiple times. not a great showing here. Not thrilled with this league so far, but it's still getting posted because it's late. I don't have time to record a second one. So if you're hearing this right now, I want you to go to the comments and tell me that you are here for the 04 content, as that would why not? Turn 2 Fiddlebender. We got a wall for some defense. I guess hopefully the wall to spin into other things, but one thing about Ashiok in this matchup is that it does grow a Murktide. If they have a Murktide down and you exile their graveyard, it'll make it huge, which obviously if you have Bridge doesn't matter, but Thoughtseize is pretty bad here. Preordain is less bad. Just going Island, Fiddlebender. Don't want to run out the Glimmer Voids quite yet. Let's see here. And let's bend some fiddles. Fiddle me this. We'll see. It's kind of forcing them to have a removal spell here. Otherwise, we start getting to do Fiddlebender things. Stalactite Stalker is not a removal spell. Fatal Push might be. Fatal Push is a card. Yep, Fatal Push. No problem. Does have Menace, which is honestly we care. Actually, we will be able to cast Leyline next turn, so it's not a. I mean, it's kind of a dead draw, but come on, let my wall resolve. And a Shredder. I guess with sideboarding, we could have swapped some of the baubles out, just for them playing Bowmaster. I think if I lose this one, I'll likely just drop. 04 would be 04 anyway. We gotta think positively. We got draws that are pretty good here. Soul Cauldron being one of the best. Pick your poison. Choose an artifact. I think it's actually a Shredder here, as the wall works well with the stuff we have going. Saga is definitely one of our better draws here, and with Leyline out, it does mean that if they have another Pick Your Poison, we won't have to sacrifice our Saga. I wonder if they counter this, or play Bowmasters because they want to ping us for one. All right, that's fine. Yeah, Bowmaster, I mean, the fact that one of this deck's the kind of key plans is recycling baubles with Emery, and, you know, I've had games where I'm, like, recycling 3 baubles a turn because I have Soul Cauldron on like, a creature, and then just able to, they should have attacked with these two as well. This is an 04. And then I'm just able to draw, like, 3 extra cards a turn. I did beat Rhinos that way, where basically I just got like a few early creatures, we're in trouble. Like behind these few early creatures, just got a like baubles, and then just drew like 3 extra cards a turn, where it was basically like you know, 1 card, cast bauble, tap, cast bauble from the graveyard, just over and over. So that was pretty cool. I think based on how, I'm gonna have to dig into the replays and find some games where this deck did a bit better. Has not been a good showing for it so far. We block the Menace Boy. So you can sack it to get a creature. Okay, he's just attacking with a flyer. It is a pretty quick clock though, and not one we can match with constructs. So we do need something. That is not something. Basically need... If we had Shadow Spear, that would be very good here. We grab Lantern to try to find a bridge. Emery's going to be too slow here. We can use Excavated Walls, actually. They are going to be able to mill us a good chunk. But I suspect he's holding up a counterspell here. Or a removal spell. Oh, that's end step, right. I can't mill. I couldn't mill anyway. I needed them to... I'm just dead. Dead on board here. I block the Menace guy. Everything gets in. Yep. Well, Dress Down's a good card. And very tough league overall. I'll talk over the matches briefly. I think I'm going to drop. Not going to bother playing the fifth one. The first one against 4-color. I think that second game was actually pretty good. And I mean, it was kind of just Saga soloing. Like the first two games definitely like highlighted some of the weaknesses of the deck, where between the lack of graveyard hate and then the lack of seeing your opponent's hand, I think graveyard hate can be fixed. You know, we're able to just add some like add a 1-drop. You know, find it with Saga. I think could cut Ledger Shredder. I could see cutting. I think I'm probably going to be off of. Let's go back to the deck list, actually. I'm probably going to be off of the this one here. Off of the reality chip. I don't think. I mean, it never really came up, and there's never. I didn't have any times where I wanted to tutor it with Oswald. So I think the. If I have to change the deck moving forward, which I will, I still like it. I think it's still a lot of fun to play. Even if this result wasn't that great, I'm likely cutting the reality chip. Honestly, a lot of the times I wanted the 4th Oswald. I would like to see it that often. I might cut the Mox Ambers. I think they improve your nut draws a lot, but they are not great top decks. They're not great. There's just a lot of situations. You know, sure, you can ramp out a turn 1 Emery. That's very powerful. Like turn 1 Emery plus. You can turn 1 Emery. And then play something else. But I think if I had to change things, I'm likely cutting these 3 cards, maybe even the Shredder. It never came up, but I think I'd probably leave it in. So I'm probably cutting the Shredder, adding a piece of Graveyard Hate, and I don't know what else. Have to tinker with it a bit. And then in the sideboard, probably want to include some number of Metallic Rebukes. I can see that similar to the mono blue list we've played, where we had a lot of counter spells, kind of as our replacement for hand disruption. Then that was kind of counter spells functioned in that role, and I think we could definitely do that here. So Zargus, not the ideal result with your list. Obviously ran into kind of rough matchups. I guess games 3 and 4. I think the game against the Shadow list, where I sacked with Fiddlebender and I had like the 2 bridges out already. I think in that game, I think they had a counterspell up anyway there, so I don't think bridge was resolving if we just hard cast it. It was kind of unfortunate that the 2 were already out. I could see actually these 3 converting into ensnaring bridge. Probably Nihil Spellbomb, because we can recur it and have good graveyard utility. And then maybe one other thing. If you wanted to kind of lean a bit more into the kind of more Lantern side of things, I could see this package getting cut. Playing 1 more Oswald and playing 3 spells, playing a 4th Spellskite. So a 4th Oswald, 4th Spellskite, and then a bit of counter magic. Probably be how I would round out the rest of this list. If I were to play it a bit differently, I might have to do a bit of brewing with that. Anyway, that's been Azorius Lantern. Not a great result, but it is what it is. You can't win them all. I'll still play more with this. Really like the list. Hopefully can get some better results with it in the future. Anyway, take care. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.